It says I'm recording now, so here we go. Okay.
Okay, hey, everybody. Welcome to a joint Radio Gunk, John Melendez. What? Go.
Hold on. I got to do the intro. Come on.
Oh, come on. Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Come on. All right, here we go. I've had so much. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Stuttering John podcast. Today, it's a simulcast with the beautiful and talented Monique.
Woo!
From Gunk. How you doing, baby?
Hi, baby. How are you?
Good. I have to. There's so much to talk about.
I know.
This show. I don't care what people think, Monique. This show is all about Howard.
Yeah, of course it is.
So I don't give a shit because I get so much. I do it at Asner interview. I don't talk about Howard except for when he finally realizes who I am, and then I do a John Fugelsang and Hal Sparks. But then if I talk about how, I'm damned if I do it, I'm damned if I don't, but I don't give a shit. I spent 15 years working for the fucking prick. I might as well be able to talk about it.
Of course you should. I mean, it's stupid not to. Come on.
Yeah. So I've had a pretty fucking successful career in entertainment, and I'm sick of these fucking Twitter haters. They drive me nuts. But Monique, you are not one of them.
I know.
So now.
We have so much to talk about. Howard's book came out today.
I know. Howard Stern comes again, which, by the way, I'm sure you know this. He ripped off from a Jackie book title.
Of course. Do you think he actually thought of Jackie when he did this? He thought he was being so profound with this stupid fucking name. I mean, it's just fucking retarded. It's retarded. No, I just got the book. I just got it in my hot little hands.
Oh, great. I can't wait to hear about it because...
I know.
Because, I think was it a Jackie album that was coming in? I forget, but...
Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about Howard, someone just tweeted me about Benji. Apparently, Buckwald, fucked him over. Do you know about this?
Yes, I know exactly about it. Okay, so what happened on today's show? Today was completely focused on the book because today was the official day that the book came out. And that fucking cunt Marion from Brooklyn was on all goddamn day just screeching, like sphincter puckering inducing screeching. And so they had some black chorus come in, all sorts of shit. And then word comes through that Benji's a little bit upset that he's not mentioned in the book. So Howard gets him on and he starts talking about how he spoke to Don about it. And apparently they had some sort of deal by which any content where it was related to his contributions to the show, that he would get either a stipend or a mention or something like that. And Howard went ballistic when he said this on air. He was really pissed. So trying to basically admit that Benji probably writes half the fucking questions that he asks him, to guests, or that he's a bigger contributor than I guess Howard wants to give him credit for. He's like, why the fuck did you talk to Don about this? What's wrong with you? And then Robin chimes in her fucking 2 cents about, I'm so upset now. This was such a wonderful day. And then, Benji comes and ruins it. It was weird. It was weird.
Well, first of all, if you read my book, when Benji and I went to Scott Einziger, when Scott was producing the E! Show, we asked to have writing credits. I always stutter on the consonant R, even though I know it's W, but it sounds like R. And so, anyway, we asked Scott if we can get the writing credits. Scott went to Buckwald, fucking Schmuckwald, whatever you want to fucking call this guy, and asked him for the credit. And Don gave us. If you see the writing credit on E, it would say some written material contributed by John Melendez and Benji Brown.
Really?
And Scott said, well, why can't we just give him, full writing credits?
Right. How does that harm anyone?
Yeah. And then Buckwald said, well, no, because if we do that, then they'll ask for more money.
Scumbag. Fucking
he is such a scumbag. And it's and I love so much because, people, we'll talk about the amendment thing, but people I have bad information. Look, I've known, Jackie's known, I have said it in my book, Buckwald is the biggest prick around. And him and Howard are like the Sith. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's true. And I'm so glad, and we'll get into the amendment thing, Monique, because here's the thing. You heard in the internet, and so did Royce, and everyone heard that Mem was fired.
Right.
When I talked about it on the show, I never said it was true. I said apparently, like according to the internet. So like everyone, like I never said it was one of my moles because it wasn't. I asked one of our moles who you know.
I know, and I asked a few of our moles who you know as well. And you know what? People on the internet took it as gospel. And the truth of the matter is we all said it, even on my forum. We were like, legit, we do not know if this is true or not. And people kept coming in with different like little pieces of information or like, maybe it is true, but who knows? Like we didn't have any confirmation on it.
And it's funny because Royce wrote, check, amendment got fired, ? Which is definitely like saying we don't know, but that's the rumor. And then people, they like, oh, now I lose my credibility. Bullshit. Well, fuck off. Because everything I said in my book, there's a reason why Howard hasn't sued me. Because everything I said is 100% true.
And he doesn't want to give you any attention that might otherwise make you more popular.
And like even with the red flag list, like I have it here in my house right now. I have the red flag list.
Yeah.
And it was given to me. Now, and look, I'm not saying these guys, didn't get this to me. At least I don't think they did. But I will say DePace, Goodstein, and all these guys, the E guys, even, Richie Wilson on Twitter defended me and said, yeah, there is a red flag list.
Yeah.
So then Howard gets interviewed by New York Times, a magazine. I'm stuttering a lot because I'm excited. I think you're getting me excited there, Monique.
This is going to be such a good show. I'm so looking forward to our gossip. All right, go ahead.
Like they ask him, in Stuttering John's book, he says that you don't allow people to make fun of certain like things and certain people. And Howard says, that's not true. I don't know where John gets his information from. Now, even people on Twitter are saying, by him saying he doesn't know where I get my information from is pretty much acknowledging that it's true.
Of course. Because, you know what? The problem is that I don't know what happens. Maybe when you turn 65 and you have to go on Medicare, your brain starts to fucking scramble. But he legitimately has, we call it revisionist history. Like he just chooses to not remember certain things that have happened in the past. So he'd rather not remember it. He has forgotten more than most people will ever fucking remember. He just doesn't, he chooses not to remember things. So he's never going to give you any credence whatsoever. Ever, ever, ever. Anything that he's ever said on air, he loves to change it. He loves to change the narrative. And all of a sudden it's a whole different fucking story. And it's like, we have tapes of this, dude. Like, we fucking have tapes. It's like, how do you change history so often and think that your legacy is now going to be this fucking book of transcripts, basically, which is really all it is, which we'll get into, when we get to that. But that's all it is, So somebody came to him with transcripts, said, we wanted you to do some commentary on your, favorite interviews of all time. And he basically says in the book, throw my other 2 books away as if they didn't exist. Well, because we know half of it was bullshit, written by Ratzo Sloman, whose girlfriend at the time used to work at Star Magazine, so they had that little fucking connection there. Do you remember that Ratzo had this black girlfriend who was really pretty? Do you remember her? Yeah.
Yes.
I met them at a party once, and so I love it that a lot of this I feel was, bullshit he made up to sensationalize himself and make him look, a little bit bigger, better, smarter, smarmier, sexier, whatever it is you want to say. But in reality, he was this Jewish Nebuchadnezzar boy who grew up with a couple of black kids, moved to a much wealthier neighborhood, Rockville Placenta, as we used to call it, and, hung out with the white kids and then went to 13th grade at BU. And, he never wanted for anything, ever. He wasn't beaten up by black kids. He said in his book it was Polish kids. So he just changes the narrative constantly. So he's never going to give you anything that says that you were right, ever. Look, but you know what's right.
And I learned it firsthand when he nonstop said Jay Leno stole jaywalking from the homeless game. He said it on the air a billion times.
Right.
And then I get to the Tonight Show, and I did the first homeless game. It was Casey's idea. It was the Yankee Day Parade in 1996. And fucking, I get to there. I asked Joe Medeiros, who was the head writer, who was one of the guys responsible for bringing me over there. I said, so you guys stole the fucking jaywalking from a homeless game? He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, what year did you do the homeless dive? I go, 96. He goes, we've been doing jaywalking since 88. It just proved to me, like, holy shit, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was believing what Howard was saying, even when it was a total fucking lie. And look, this is like his big reveal. He had a cancer scare. Well, if he had a cancer scare, and then but that time when he took off for cancer and he came back, he didn't say it was that. He said he was, he took a sick day or whatever. He lied.
He lied. And I will quote from the book. I know we're going to, of course, as we usually do, jump all over the fucking place. But basically what he did is he had like this high mercury, I guess, his white blood cell count had gone low due to too much mercury, I guess, because he was eating a lot of fish. So the doctor said you need to lay off the tuna or whatever the fuck he needed to lay off of. Then he went to Dr. Argus in California and he did some blood tests and he said, maybe you want to go for an MRI when you get back to New York. So he goes for an MRI and it turns out I guess they saw a little spot on his kidney. I guess the doctor then said to him, hey, I have you scheduled for, let's say 3:00, but, I'd like to do it earlier in the day because I'm available earlier. So he decided to just take the fucking day off. So
the fucking big pussy.
Big fucking pussy. So the advertisers knew in advance that he wasn't going to be there. But then when he gets back on Monday, he's all like fucking Zoolander, like he's, I can't do the live reads. Could you please do the live reads for me? Like legit playing it off. And it's like, why? Why did you have to fucking lie? Why?
Oh, he lied. Oh my God.
Why though?
And who do you have do the live reads?
JD.
Okay, oh my God, we're going to jump around. Well, first I'll talk about the fish. It's so funny because the last time I hung out with Howard was at his mansion in Southampton, and he felt so bad that he had his cook. He had his chef make fish, and I don't like fish. And he felt bad, so I just ate bread. But
you're kidding. Does he have a live-in cook?
He doesn't live in, I don't think, but he could. There's 35 bedrooms, he's got one big kitchen for him and one big kitchen for his chef. And then he's got the infinity pool, he's got the fireplaces from the European countries from the medieval
French Revolution.
Yeah, no, seriously. And then he's got a fucking bowling alley, an elevator, pool table. He's got everything. I mean, it's like a whole fucking. The place is a maze. It's like it's unbelievable, but it's like 3 floors.
Where do people hang out? Like down where the bowling alley is, or in the living room, or where?
Bowling alley, or in the one living room closer to the pool. That's where we hung out. But I'm just trying to, because I know people like to hear this.
They
shit,
do.
But the thing that really drives me crazy is that. Here, Howard had a cancer scare, and the thought of him, like he was saying in the article, I don't want to die and all this shit. Yeah, then that's more the reason that my jaw drops on how he handles Scott's wife.
Oh, 100%. 100% and his cousin Stacy, the gay one who had to start a fucking GoFundMe and wound up dying as well. He never contributed to that.
I didn't know about that one.
Oh, cousin Stacy, yeah, a gay guy, and turns out he put out a GoFundMe, for a minimal amount of money, something like $7,000, $8,000, to help them defray some costs of whatever or another, and he wound up dying. And the word was that Stacy never got any money from Howard. Nothing.
Holy shit, man! Well, how cheap? Hey, hold on, Monique. This is my open letter to Howard Stern.
All right.
Howard Stern, you cheap fuck. How much money do you need? You have 3 fucking mansions. Can't you help out your fucking 30-year-old staff member whose wife is dying? Can't you help out your cousin? You cheap bastard. Okay, back to the show. Okay, wait, Monique.
You know what? I'm gonna forget this too, because it's like 2 fucking ADD people talking to each other. But also, the other thing people really want to know about is the apartment in the city.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there quite a few times.
Walk us through it. Give me a...
Oh, well, see, I was there when he got the second floor. But, yeah, no. He has 1 floor for his kids' bedrooms, and then, and then they have their own, like, floor.
Or guest bedrooms, as the case may be.
Yeah, and then I was on the main floor. Like, we watched the Yankees win the World Series against the Mets on the main floor.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it's a big living room with, like, then it, like, off of the living room, there's his desk, where, he's got a big ass office in there. And then there's a dining room there. And then he has like a big kitchen. And then like a hallway that will lead you to his bedroom, and all all like, the windows like around the whole place. And
was he already with Beth at that point, or no?
Well, no. When I first started going there, he was with, he was dating. Robin Givens was there with him.
Was he really dating her? Because a lot of people think that was all like set up because she was also a Buckwald client. Yeah.
Oh no, he was banging. Oh yeah. Because she was there and everything. So and my wife and I were there, and then later on, then Beth got there. Like Howard would have us over to watch the debut of Son of a Beach there, and so we would be like me, only the inner circle people.
So when did you officially get introduced to Beth? I'm curious because there's always that timeline thing that everybody's like always suspect about.
No. It was after the divorce with Allison. We were, Susanna and I went to the Hamptons to hang out with Howard, and we slept out at his place there, and with fucking Zippy and it was Melissa,
the pie baker,
and, yeah, fucking the Wallback fucker, Zippy. And he actually banged his girlfriend then, Miss Hawaii, Melissa, on one of the guest room bathroom counters. And,
nice.
And the imprint of her ass was on the mirror. Yeah. So we all goofed on him about that. But yeah, so
is that where you met her, Beth?
And then, so then Beth finally came out by the pool, and she was in her, I think, like a rust bikini. My jaw dropped and my penis rose.
Yeah.
And she looked awesome. And then that's where I told one of my first stand-up jokes that I tried out on, who but anyone else but Howard. And we were in the pool. I don't know if my wife was pregnant or not, but I said, Howard, my wife was 9 months pregnant. She insisted upon wearing a belly button ring. She started to look like a freaking hand grenade. and Howard laughed his ass off. I'm like, oh, good, that'll work on stage, So
Perfect.
I was like, so I was working out like, my material, and that was one of the first jokes that I
with Zippy and Howard.
Yeah. I mean, Zippy probably didn't get it because his eyes are so close together. Like when I look at Zippy, I feel like I'm staring at a bowling ball.
It's a cyclops.
He's got the two eyes are like, it's like he's cross-eyed, like they're so close together. And then he's got that big ass mouth. It's like a bowling ball. I swear to God, you can just bowl that head down a fucking bowling alley.
Him and Baba Booey are like, bestie friends. They travel everywhere together. It's amazing.
Yeah, but they both their faces look like the offshoot of the Missing Link.
100%. They're cavemen.
Like Zippy and Gaga Gorilla, they look like they're like Cro-Magnon man. Like I once said that on the air to Howard. I go, hey Howard, is it me or does it Gary look like Cro-Magnon man? And Howard laughed again. And like it's like and Roy said that if they fucking cast Gary in those fucking caveman Geico commercials, they wouldn't need any makeup. He's like perfect for it.
I think we have a Photoshop of that on my website of Gary as the fucking Geico caveman.
I mean, like, look, I mean, like, you try not to make fun of people for things they can't change. But hey, Gary's a millionaire. He's got that big house. Like I always say, it's the house that Tooth built. But, like he's got that, God bless him, I don't like, look, he's a backstabber. His head's up Howard, and now like he's got half his head up Howard and the other half up Don Buckwald's ass. And that's the other thing people have to understand there, Monique, is that like Jackie knew this. Like if you are represented by Don Buckwald, it's like incestual, because Don.
100%. His first and foremost priority is to get Howard as much money as he humanly can, and it's kind of like the whole fucking Yankees team having Derek Jeter's fucking manager.
Yeah, and when I was rep by Buckwald, I mean, he was a fucking scumbag, and like I remember once he was trying to get a T-shirt deal. They would give me like $2,500. I'm like, well, like I didn't feel comfortable having my face on a T-shirt. I'm like, well, why do you want to do this with me, but not Howard or Rob? And he goes, well, they're in a different category than you. And I was just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're the whore yourself out category, and they're not.
Yeah, and then, like it's like when I asked him to get me like on the top of the Stuttering John stardom, I asked him to get me on like Joan Rivers had a show or David Letterman had his 12:30 show, and I was like, and Don's like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know, be funny. And he's like, he's totally putting me down, and I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, guess what, you fucking douchebag. I ended up being a guest on Conan fucking 7 times or 6 times, and in skits it is, and I was a guest on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno twice, and the first time got me the fucking job because I killed it. You fucking douche, Tom Buckwald.
And you know that Howard says that Conan O'Brien is the best interview he ever had. Like, that was his big reveal. The cancer thing and that Conan was his best interview.
Yeah, and my friend, Mike, we call him, Mike the Mediator. He had he fucking had the best thing, like, because he said, well, Howard says in his book that Conan's his best interview. He goes, not the one with the Jackie puppet. And I'm like, that was the best interview.
That's the best interview, 100%. That is the best interview.
Instead it's like him kissing Conan's ass and Conan kissing Howard's ass. What has happened to you, Howard? Just like I said in my book with the picture of him in front of the Twitter thing, like, Howard, like, what happened to you? Who has stole Howard and what has happened to him? Because this ain't Howard.
Nothing about Howard is Howard now, but I'm telling you, he's just revising history so that his legacy is that he's the world's best interviewer. Not king of all media, not, the guy where, titties and amphibians were the thing. Even though I've got to believe that if I went out right now, went down to fucking 42nd Street and asked 10 people, 5 words that come to mind when you think of Howard Stern, they would still be like disgusting, pig, sex, lesbians, tits. It would still be that. It would still be that. Yeah. So as much as he wants to revise history with this book, it doesn't really work for us. And by the way, he says he spent 2 years on this book. John, you literally could have written everything in this book within like 6 months. Basically, it's all the fucking transcripts, and then he does like a 1 paragraph, maybe 2 paragraph with, 14-point font times New Roman, introduction to them. So he does an introduction in the beginning, and then he introduces all these different interviews, and then a running thing throughout the entirety of the book, because of course he has to sell books, is all of his interviews with Donald Trump. So that's what I guess sells books,
Oh, God. Well, I mean, of course it's going to be a bestseller. I mean, because he has, like, I mean, according to Tim Sabian, Senator Sabian, he says that, Howard went from 16 million to about 800,000. So let's assume he has 800,000. So all you need, is like 50,000, 100,000 to be a bestseller. So,
well, tell me, how does it work exactly? So how does it work with book sales?
You know what? I don't find out about my book until June. So I won't know.
Really?
I talked to the editor. It's like a 6-month cycle. So I don't find out until June. Then I'll know. And then I'll know if the book company's going to be honest or they're not going to be honest. Because it'd be hard to be number one in general broadcasting for over a month and not sell books. Like, I don't know how that would be possible.
I don't know how to quantify what becomes the bestseller.
That's a good question. Well, we should find out because I have no idea.
All I know is that I got it for $15 at its very lowest point before it came out. So
okay, I revealed the JD story from one of our sources, who it is entirely 100% corroborated and true.
Repeat it for our listeners because they need to know. Yeah,
JD was texting while he was a paid employee, texting interns, female interns, when they went to the bathroom, asking them to bring their panties back for him.
Disgusting, vile animal.
Now, how in the world does Richard fucking Scott Greenstein, Scott, let me ask you something. You have a guy there who is essentially doing what like Roger Ailes was doing, like, maybe not as bad, but he's texting interns asking for their panties, and you're allowing that, and you don't fire or reprimand J.D. Harmeyer?
Well, let me ask you a question. Did he report it to HR?
Well, no. In fact, my source told me that the girls, because I asked them, could I get the text?
I love it. Yeah.
And my source said that the girls just want to remain anonymous right now, and they're not going to give me the text. Because they know if I get the text, I'll personally call the HR department and fucking get that prick fired. And you know what? I got a guy on Twitter. Oh, why would you get somebody fired? I'll tell you why. Because JD is a creep and he's an asshole. And if he's capable of texting girls that interns, and now look, this is the Me Too. This is the Me Too generation now. Granted, when I was on a Stern show, we did some crazy shit. But, and we can, I guess like Joe Biden said, that it was a different time. But now JD's doing that in the current day and age.
Yeah, rule number one is never to fuck with the interns. I mean, that's it. You're just not supposed to shit where you eat. That's it. You're not supposed to do that. So I know that we lost this last time, but I also had like a stupid fucking JD story about how when I used to be on Facebook and I had seen that JD, he was just working there maybe like a year or so. I friended him. He friended me right back, immediately PMs me and says, when could we get together? I'm like, for what? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, for lunch? You want to go see a movie? He's like, no, I really just want to fuck. That's what he said. And I'm like, yeah, no, fucking JD, you Asperger's prick.
Well, Eddie, like, he was such a dick to me. Like, and look, I'm not gonna, I know people say, oh, well, you're tooting your own horn. But the truth is, I had done so much for that show. And to have like this new kid, JD, come in there and actually be condescending towards me, like,
yeah, fuck
I
him.
was like, yeah, I'm like, really, dude? Do you know? I'm like,
do you know who I am?
It's almost like it was so like I there wasn't a lot of people I didn't like, when I was there. I mean, I didn't like fucking Eric or Fred, whatever you call him. I even liked him. I didn't leave there like with any hate in my heart. I mean, Gary.
Of course.
Gary, I had a lot of problems with, but, and Ralph, but that's about it. Like, but the only other one was JD. He was such a dick. And now,
I think it's the Asperger's. It's the Asperger's. And now he thinks he's so much more than what he really is. He fucking basically cuts clips. That's what he does. He cuts clips.
He puts the ass in Asperger, to put it that way.
Kinda.
He's a fucking dick. But anyway, now, I call on Scott Greenstein to fucking reprimand that prick, and I don't give a fuck if he gets fired because he's a dickhead and I don't like him.
Yeah,
and the other guy I don't like over there is Ralph.
Yeah, talk to me about fucking Ralph. I know we discussed this, but I don't think we discussed it. Well,
I am still pissed at fucking that Barry boy. Well, put it this way. This is how much Ralph's head was up Howard's ass. Like, because, Ralph and I would hang out outside of Howard. Like, we would hang out. Like, he and I and my ex would fucking, like, hang out. And we'd be friendly. But the thing that I always knew is anything that was said would go back to Howard because Ralph, like, that's the kind of guy he was.
Of course.
Like, whereas, like, with Artie and I, like...
You could confide in Artie. You knew better. You know.
Artie and I would do, like a show, whatever, like, on the road. And I say, hey, Artie, is it cool if I mention, like, what you ate? Yeah. It's fine. It's like Artie was always cool with, but I always checked with him, which is why people might thought I was throwing him under the bus, but it wasn't because Artie and I had an agreement. He goes, just don't talk about drugs and shit.
Okay.
Or alcohol, and I didn't, and I didn't know he was doing any drugs at the time, so it didn't matter anyway. But fucking Ralph, that guy. So just to give you an example, I know something I've never told. I was hanging out with Ralph after one of our like card games, and. Ralph didn't want to drive back to Jersey. And I said, all right, look, just if you want, you can stay over. I'm going to stay at my mom's. She's got plenty of extra rooms if you want to stay over there. Just go ahead and follow me home. So for some reason, I don't know what it was, because he drives like a freaking, a pussy anyway. And I lost him. And now I'm going, all right, how soon is this motherfucker going to get on the horn with Howard and say what a dick I am that I lost him? So, like, I call Ralph, like, I guess I left the message at night and then a bunch of times. And I call him in the morning, like, at 8. I go, hey, just don't tell Howard. He goes, oh, it's too late. I already told him all about it.
Ah, Jesus.
I mean, what a fucking douchebag. And, like, but that's Ralph. And the one thing I always fucking want to punch him for is I guess he was on ecstasy. And
the drug dealing thing. I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. Do you remember him getting busted for dealing drugs when he was out with Howard?
No, I didn't know that. I really didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that. But I know that when he was like all like touchy and feely, and Robin got us tickets to the Rainforest event that Sting and Trudy always held.
Yeah.
And we were like in the front seat, and then Ralph, he shows up late, and then like he goes down the line saying hi to everybody, and then he grabs my wife by her face and kisses her on the lips.
Ugh.
And the whole fucking show, I want to fucking punch the motherfucker. I'm like, I don't want to even think that ugly fucking Barry boy, he looks like a character that was drawn in Mad Magazine. And I'm thinking, the last guy I want to think of kissing my wife on the lips is that fucking dude.
He looks like a fucking Rorschach. Seriously, like he there's no definable feature on him other than ugly. Like that's all he is.
And just to show you what a prick he is, at Scott Einziger's first wedding, Ralph thought it was funny, and Scott paid a photographer a lot of money, and Ralph thought it was funny to photobomb every table's picture.
Fucking
so
scumbag.
Ralph went around to each table and fucking put his ugly ass mug in every picture. Now, to Ralph, in his puny little brain, that's funny. But to the fucking poor Scott Einziger, who's paying a lot of money to have like a nice wedding album.
Right, group shots, right.
They didn't have the Photoshop capability. At least they didn't they would have been a lot of money to do that. And now he's stuck with a fucking picture of Ralph in every fucking shot. I mean, that's the dick that Ralph is. Do you understand?
I do understand. And so I have two follow-up questions to Ralph Berryface, fuckface, dick, douchebag, Rorschach. One, how the fuck does he live? Like, seriously? How does he live? What does he do? What does a Ralph do? What the fuck does a Ralph do?
Well, he kisses Howard's ass. He gives Howard inside information. But see, like, not like I did. Like I give him stuff that was like not gonna fucking get anyone fired. Right. Ralph will give him shit that will get people fired. Like, but the thing that
the Berryface mole is a mole. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes, he is. The mole has a mole. So here's the thing: that little douchebag sent in a fan, letter to the Channel 9 show. That's how we got.
But he was 19. How does one become his closest fucking confidant as a 19-year-old when Howard is like 40?
Perfect ass kisser. Because he doesn't kiss it enough to make it seem obvious. Like, he still, retains his opinions, which are fucking, he's such a dickhead. Like, here's another reason to hate Ralph. Like, he went to see episode 1 of Star Wars before I got to see it.
Yeah.
And then he writes, I don't want to tell you what main character dies. Like, he writes that in Lotus. And I'm like, what an asshole. So now I have to watch the movie thinking somebody's going to die. What a fucking dick.
Wow.
And then I know who's going to die at some point. I'm like, that fucking berry-faced prick. I really want to strangle that guy. So anyway, getting back to so he writes a fan letter. What he did, he tried the prosthetic shit, and his if you ever watched the Channel 9 show, Howard as Al Sharpton, whoever he played, it looks nothing like anybody.
No, of course not.
Howard as William Shatner, he doesn't even look like fucking. He doesn't even look like fucking William Baldwin. I mean, he doesn't look like anything.
Right.
But he just became like the makeup, wardrobe, hair guy. Then Howard knew that he had no talent in hair and makeup, so he put Tony Colburn on that. And then all Ralph did was do the wardrobe. And he made
what qualified him for even that? I mean, I went to fucking school for design. This is what I did for a fucking living. And Barry Boy gets to be a stylist out of nothing.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he was making then $1,000 a week. That was then. I'm talking.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So now that's $52,000 a year, right? But now he's probably making at least $3,000 or $4,000, a week.
For what? For what? Come on.
Yeah, he was making $1,000 a week. So here's the thing. But and I said this, but I'll say it again. I don't give a fuck. On the E Show, we would laugh all the time at what Howard was dressed out. He was literally wearing a Charlie Brown shirt. And I'm like, what the fuck? And the best example, is read the picture on Miss America. And Howard, or the first book, Howard's dressed like Kurt Cobain. I mean, he's a 50-year-old nebbishy Jewish guy, and he's dressed like Kurt Cobain. It was like,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. He's got the big boots on, like fucking Herman Munster.
Right,
and he's got fucking cut-off flannel.
Right.
It was so embarrassing. And I'll never forget that, I had a blue suit on with brown shoes that I got at Barney's, which is a very expensive shishi place in Manhattan. And and dressed by real fashion people that chose that combination. Like, and all the news guys, with all they would wear blue and brown shoes.
It's very fashionable.
And Ralph was sitting there snickering with Howard. Look at John. He doesn't realize that brown doesn't go with blue.
Wow.
And I'm looking at him,
so fashionable.
And I'm looking at him going, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
Fucking berry-faced idiot. You have no credential in fashion.
0.0. For him,
he has as much credential in fashion as Baba Booey has in producing. 0. 0.
And, the funny thing is, and, of course, here we go, ADDing. But the funny thing is, we laugh about this book full of interviews, but meanwhile, he's only literally had 40 people in the last almost year and a half. And I think, 80% of them were repeats. So he's had, virtually nobody new in, at all. So it begs the question, what the fuck does Gary do anymore? What do any of them do? He has a staff of over 60, 65. What do they do? What the fuck do they do all day, John?
I know, and it's a fucking radio show. It's it's not even
3 days a week. 3 days.
Look, granted, Jay Leno, he had 150, but that's the old school of television. But it was 5 days a week, and it was a lot of, it was TV, so there's a lot more,
production value, of course.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I think, only has 10 writers. I mean, he might have 50 people. So Howard essentially has more people for 3 days a week, and and for no TV than a normal TV host has.
It's 112 shows a year, so it's less than it's a third. It's a third of the year.
And he has 10 to 15 writers, and then they all filter through Will, who I love. I love Will, but I just don't know how Will has the credential to be a head writer, essentially. Yeah. I don't even understand that. I'm not saying he doesn't know what's funny, because I'm sure he does, but it's, you'd think that you'd have Benji, be the filter or a Fred be the filter, but he doesn't. I don't understand. I know that he brought in Marcy Turk, and I know this from Tim, Senator Sabian told me that they brought in Marcy Turk because Howard was fed up with Gary's incompetency. And, and that I understand, because I was fed up with Gary's incompetency the first 2 months I was in there.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, look, when I was there, it was me and Gary would take the mystery guest fucking blinders on and go, hey, John, I had a long night last night. I'm going to take a nap in the Jock Lounge. Could you mind the fort? And he would do that, a bunch of times. And then I brought it up on the air once. He said, I only did that once, but because it got under Howard's skin.
Bullshit.
Just like when Gary was fucking sleeping, and Scott DePace, took the video and gave it to Howard. Gary still hates Scott DePace, because of that. I just talked to Scott a couple of weeks ago.
So how many people worked on the show when you were on the show?
When I started with Howard?
Yeah.
It was just me, Gary, and then, Jackie, Fred, Gary, me, Gary, Jackie, Fred, and Robin, and then Scott, the engineer.
6 people.
Yeah.
6 people to do a show that was genius at the time. 6 fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. So, and then every once in a while, Robin would have an intern, but they wouldn't last long. She would get rid of them immediately. She brought an intern to tears once right in front of me. I never forget. She just yelled at the girl right in front of me, and the girl started crying.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, she was a lunatic. She was truly a lunatic, so much so that, she did that Hallmark thing, or trademark. I don't know what it was, but she called me out of the blue and apologized. John,
Landmark. Landmark.
Yeah, Landmark. I'm just calling you to apologize for anything I've done. I'm like, you never did anything to me, Ron. I go, the only thing you did was stab me in the back, when I left, but that's about it.
And P.S., you're not allowed up in the serious offices ever again. Sorry.
Well, the truth is I did John Fugelsang's show there and Dean Obadala's show, so I'm allowed at Sirius. I'm just not allowed in the Howard wing.
Yeah, Grillo too. Grillo's not allowed.
But who the fuck wants to be there anyway? I mean, what I love Sal and all, but do I want to hang out with him? No, I don't want to be fucking there or hanging out with fucking Sal. And it isn't exact. it isn't like who the hell wants to be there? I don't want to be there.
Yeah, so we saw there was this CBS Sunday Morning thing that he did this weekend on Channel 2, and it showed like the guys in their natural habitat. And it's literally like pump and dump stock room. They have these little fucking cubicles, John, literally like the size of 2 arms, maybe like 2 feet across. Then they're all squoze in there, like 10, 12 people.
Well, look, I know that they hired, my friend Derek, who's not my friend anymore.
Oh, right. Derek the traitor.
Who I helped with the job.
Derek the no good deed goes unpunished traitor. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend, a producer at the time, so another Ross, got him the job, and then that fucking douchebag, like comes out here, doesn't even fucking, hang out with me because he's afraid Howard would get pissed, which in a way I can understand because they're all afraid of Howard. So he told me that when he got hired as a writer, I think they were paying him $1,000 to $1,500 a week. So I mean that's so that's a decent amount. So
a week.
That's how much he's getting.
Yeah.
So then,
wait, but that was back then. That was how long ago? Like
that's like 5 years ago, maybe. So if he's getting that, then how much does Sal? Sal's probably getting like $3,000, $4,000 a week. I mean, look at all the money the Sirius is wasting for a show that's on 3 times like a week. And if you're a Sirius stockholder, you should get serious about holding the stock.
Well, Howard also claims like there's 30 or 35 million subscribers. And according to their analysis, there's at least 2 people per subscription listen to Sirius. So he legitimately thinks that he has at least like 30 million people that listen to him a week, which is fucking bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Put it this way. I'm like, I'm a social butterfly, as you know.
Yeah.
I hang out with a lot of entertainment people, a lot of people like, who are not in entertainment, blue collar people, like all different sorts. Not one person has ever said to me, "Did you hear what was on Howard Stern today?"
No,
ever.
Nobody. The only people I actually ever talked to about that with are the people I podcast with, you, Grillo, maybe Tim every once in a while, and if other people are around that were part of the show. That's it.
Yeah. So if anybody, like, when I was there at the height, and then Tim Sabian said we had 16 million, I might think it was more. Maybe, let's say it's 25 million. At that point, everybody talked about the show. People were missing work to hear the show.
Absolutely.
Like people have told me, like when my interviews are playing, they wouldn't get out of their car. They'd miss school. They'd miss their work, everything else.
Right.
So that's the old Howard Stern show. So let's say that's 16 million. Now, nobody talks about it. So I think Tim's accurate. I think like now there's only 800,000, if that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And yes, it might be a bestseller because God knows he's doing enough fucking publicity to choke a horse. So it might, and even like today, the way you get these like little alerts about Google, Twitter trends and stuff like that. So the hashtag Howard Stern Comes Again was trending this morning while he was on air. And I swear to God, the moment the show was off, it just dropped off off of everybody's radar. And it was pretty funny because this is the week when the upfronts are here, so everybody's here. Like pretty much every fucking TV person that you'd ever want to like meet and greet with or bullshit with, right? The way the upfronts work. But did Howard have anybody in this week? No. Did he like do anything to, Jimmy Kimmel was in yesterday just kissing his fucking balls. I mean, it was pathetic because Howard was supposed to go to Italy and
with Howard and Kimmel, was there a hair weave convention?
Yeah, right.
Kimmel definitely wears a wig. That I know is a fact.
Kimmel definitely wears a wig. He definitely gets Botox and Juvederm. He definitely has had his eyes tweezed. He's got a blockhead. He's a Fred Flintstone looking dude, and he's a fucking Howard sycophant. And he steals Howard's bits. And I'm just going to defend my buddy, staff writer on the Tonight Show, as well as me, Rob Young, who came up with the bit. How long will it take? Jimmy Kimmel lifted that bit. It was a recurring bit on the Tonight Show, and lifted that verbatim. And called it How Long. And I mean, wow. He should be ashamed of himself. Jimmy Kimmel. And now his buck-toothed fucking brother, fucking Adam Carolla, his Baba Booey looking brother, Adam Carolla, wouldn't have me on to promote my book, probably because I trashed fucking Jimmy Kimmel. Fuck you, Carolla, you fucking douchebag. Thank me. Because I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, Carolla. Fucking yeah. I know you're bankrupt. I know all about it, you fucking prick. So you're you're doing your podcast from home. You're kind of like AJ Benza now. You're working.
Yeah, well, no, I'll be back in the studio soon. It's just that we're dealing with a whole bunch of shit that can't wait till I read the reviews on the book.
Oh my God, and you know us. It's we all had to be verified buyers so that we could basically fucking skewer it. So it'll be interesting. That's another thing I was going to say. We're talking about like people that want to talk about Howard Stern. I cannot tell you how pretty much every human being I have ever run into that I said I do a Howard Stern podcast. How many of those people, John, that you run into will say to you, he's still on the air? It's like, wow, I haven't listened to him in like forever.
No, I know. Oh, I know that.
That's all you get.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, because with my book, I think it's wrong that Amazon allows people who didn't buy the book to do reviews. Because, like, I have a 4-star, rating, but it would probably be 4.5 to 5 if I didn't have people who didn't buy the book just write, like, it should be a coloring book, fuck him. And they're not even people who read the book. You know what I mean?
Oh, but you're always going to get that, sweetheart. I mean, that's the way people work. It's a pack mentality. Everybody who's on my website is like that. We go in as like a fucking wolf pack, and either we really like something or we really fucking hate it. And, that Howard's book had a New York Times review, not on Sunday, of course, but on Monday. And we engaged the woman who wrote the review. Like, do you even listen to that show nowadays? Like, is this...
And was the review like glowing, gushing over him?
Not necessarily gushy, but it was basically, this is Howard's truth, and basically this is the way he wants, his legacy to be seen. And, as the greatest interviewer of all time. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Janet, but do you actually listen to him now? Do you know that pretty much he's just replaced like tits and ass with cock and balls? And that, he's just so scared of litigation that he's not going to ever have a fucking woman in there ever again. And that's the only reason you say he's evolved. And also the fact that, all these interviews are so stellar and so amazing. Basically, half of them we could whip out of fucking Wikipedia and know the entirety of what's going to go on the interview. Yeah. And besides that, give any other interviewer out there an hour and a half with a fucking star, and of course you're going to come up with shit. Like, of course you're going to talk to them like they're your friend and it's an intimate relationship. I mean, how much time did Jay Leno ever give any one single guest ever?
No, I know. I mean, we only had the most our segment. If we had one segment, it'd be 7 minutes. So maybe if we had a guest on for all 3 segments, it would have been 15 minutes.
But how rare is that even?
Yeah, and that's a rarity. Usually it's 7 minutes and done, So nobody
gets this luxury of time. So of course the interview is going to be better than the basic layman or, Colbert or anybody like that. Of course it's going to be better. Yeah. It can't help but not be.
Listen, when I'm in New York, let's hang out and get beers, okay?
Absolutely. I don't drink beer. I'll take wine. But yeah, fabulous. So radiogunk.com, and you guys can all come to the forum while we discuss the book, because that's probably what we're going to be doing for the rest of the week. All right. So this was good. I'll talk to you later, sweetheart. You take care.
All right, sweetie. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.